What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Vitamin Lead, your healthy dose of leadership. I'm your host, TJ Reed, and I am so excited today to have with us Jason Yost. Jason, thank you for being part of Vitamin Lead. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, TJ, man, I am so thrilled to hang out with you and connect with your community today. I am actually coming to you I live right outside of Washington, D.C. on the Maryland side. And it's about probably this morning, it was like 28 degrees, so cold. But my family and we actually live on a 2-acre farm. I have
Wow.
two awesome girls. My oldest is 6, my youngest is 4. I have a beautiful wife, and we both have the privilege of working from home. So we've kind of made like a humble private abode here right outside of the city, but yet we have a country feel. We have 10 chickens, we
Wow.
have 2 barn cats, and we have a big mammoth golden retriever that keeps the land pure of any varmints.
Was that a dream of yours? Did you guys always want to have farmland, or is that something that kind of evolved over time?
I appreciate you asking that question, but it totally evolved over time. So I grew up a surf rat. So I kind of am
Okay.
a beach city guy. And then,
Okay.
most of our adult life, we lived in the city. We lived right in downtown DC, and then we lived in New York City. And, the country, just kind of as we were looking long term, and then we had a family, we're both type A, so we enjoy kind of the hustle and bustle, but then we really like to relax. And when you live in the city, it's hard to get the relaxing. So now we
Yeah.
love the country life, but then when we need the hustle and bustle and want it, we can go. I mean, we're only literally, we can be right in at the National Mall in like 18
Oh,
minutes.
that's
So we're not
awesome.
super far out, but it's so peaceful. We're off like a private road. My wife comes from the country, and so she has converted me thoroughly. I'm a country guy. I've got my boots, I've got a cowboy hat, and I've got my John Deere now, and I'm living my best life.
That's awesome. Who would have thought, right?
Totally. I mean, friends that know me and friends from a long time ago, literally, like, I would have never thought this for you in a million years. And I'm like, me either, but I love it.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Jason, one of our favorite questions on here, we have a lot of folks that are kind of like newer in their careers, either first becoming leaders or they're aspiring to leadership. I love to
Yeah.
ask the question, well, what was one of your first jobs? And maybe is there like a lesson you learned from one of your first jobs that kind of has stuck with you to this point?
Yeah. My first job, I was actually a beach stand guide. So, like, if you've ever gone to, I mean, you're in Virginia Beach, so like the beach or Ocean City, that's where I grew up. You have those like people that rent umbrellas and boogie boards and all those
Okay.
types of things. And so I did that. And honestly, I grew up in a resort area. So I started when I was 11. That was my first
Wow.
job ever. Um, and to be perfectly honest, there was no like accountability, or it was just a big lack of leadership. So it was
Oh,
like
okay.
you could totally rent things. And of course I'm 11. I don't know what's up. I don't know what to do. You could rent things and pocket the money and not write it down, and like rent it for more money, do all these different things. And so, in hindsight, as I look back at that, I was just like, man, if there's no like leadership, or there's no intentionality, like
Yeah,
things can get messy quick.
sure.
you know and
Sure.
so it's a wonder how those ever stay in business.
That's,
That would be
I
the
mean,
lesson learned of like you saw what you shouldn't do in leadership.
I think that's most of leadership learning, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
the people I've learned the most were the people that I really didn't like as a leader as much, but I'm like, that's what I don't want to do. And so I think the healthy leaders are few and far between. And that's kind of why we're doing this thing, because we want more healthy leaders doing a great job out there.
100%, dude. 100%. That brings me
So
back. Thanks for asking that.
So we're talking inadequate thoughts and all of that. Can you talk to me a little bit more about your health journey that you went on, and
Yeah.
it being kind of a mental thing as well as a physical thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been on quite a just a reformation, kind of soul searching journey myself in the last couple years. And so I've lost 60 pounds in the last 2 years. I've kept it off. It took me about 6 months to do that, just kept it off. And
Congratulations.
thank you, man. Appreciate that. And it just doing that has really changed my life.
Mm.
Just being able to overcome my relationship with food, and thinking about it more as like medicine and like something that fuels me rather than just satisfying a desire or a need. That has really helped me. And then overcoming that, the physical aspect has really helped me gain the self-confidence of doing more things. Like,
Mm.
oh, if I can get control of my my weight, and I can get self-control over the choices that I'm making with food, then I bet you I can do that with my mental health. I bet you I can do that with my financial health. I bet you I can do that in my professional life.
Mm.
And honestly, there's this, I can't remember who gets the credit for the quote. It was John F. Kennedy or somebody, but the idea that a rising tide moves all ships,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and it's definitely like that. When you can get control in one area of your life, when you can learn and stretch that self-efficacy muscle,
Mm.
of doing hard things and challenging yourself, you're able to generalize that in other areas. Just speaking for myself. So my wife saw the transformation in me, and she joined, and we both lost. She lost 50 pounds as well, so we've lost like 120 pounds together in the last year and a half. We were crazy in debt, like over $120,000. We've paid off. I think we've got like 20,000 left. We paid like
Wow.
$100,000 off in debt. Just mentally went on a journey, and I'll go into that more. But it was like overcoming physically sent us on a different journey. And wanting to do that, really, I was at the biggest weight. I was leading. I had been in church ministry in leadership for like almost 2 decades,
Mm.
and was just not in a really good rhythm. Uh, my mentality was care for others, care for others, care for others, care for others, which is okay, and that's a Christ-like kind of attitude in working in the church. But I neglected care for me,
Right.
and that is, unfortunately, that's a very popular, just innate focus in that church staff culture, just that area. Is just
Jesus,
like,
Jesus doesn't care as much about you as he does those other people. So
yeah, sacrifice, sacrifice, go, 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 go to whatever expense. And, I had transitioned out of church staff and was taking a new job. And I was just re-looking at my life. I was in my mid 30s, and I was just like, what do I want for myself? What do
Mm.
I want? What do I value? What do I want physically? How do I want to think mentally? And I was just looking forward, kind of, I looked at my dad and was looking at his life, and he was turning 60, and he battled with his weight. And he also battled with by being bipolar and mental health, and didn't do a great job of caring for himself. And so it was
Mm.
kind of like strategic foresight, TJ. I was just
Mm.
like, hey, I'm 35, 36, and this could really get away from me if I don't focus on it.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've got young kids, so we're moving fast, we're busy. Um, you know, I'm just kind of going life at a conveyor belt. And I was like, I really need to get a hold of this. And so,
Yeah.
I lost that weight, and it took about 6 months. And then, I started getting excited, was getting really pumped up, like, man, I can really do this. I'd never done anything like that before,
Yeah.
for myself.
Yeah.
I'd accomplished things for other people. I was always focused on other people, but not for me. I never realized how unhealthy I was. And then it was about a year and a half ago that I got a phone call from my older brother that would just send me uh, one of the hardest things that I've had to swallow, and just sent me on another journey as far as mental health. I was home by myself, my girls, and my brother called me about 10 o'clock at night, And I knew something was weird because he was acting funny. And he just said, Jason, like, I'm so sorry to have to tell you this, but Dad just took his life.
Hmm.
And I was just,
Goodness.
what? Like, what? And, we knew that he was struggling with his weight, and he had, just he struggled for a long time, and again, he cared for other people. He was a homicide detective, a police officer, a service guy, cared for the community, did everything he could, spent his life caring for others, but not for
Wow.
himself,
Yeah.
and it just took over, and it got too hard, for him. And I remember just a couple weeks after that, after his funeral, wondering again with the foresight, like, hey, you know, with the thoughts and with mental health, is this coming for me too?
Yeah.
Like, is suicide something that is going to hunt me down or chase me down? And I'm just being completely honest and vulnerable.
Yeah. Thank you for being vulnerable.
And it was a hard time for a good couple weeks. And I was struggling with anxiety and just negative thoughts and just fearful that when I turned 60, this was going to be something that was coming after me, so to speak. And TJ, I remember it. I was in my basement here watching TV before the girls went to bed. Our whole family was down there. And I just thought to myself, like, you know what? There's got to be another way. There's got to
Hmm.
be another way to do this. I believe you can change. I've changed physically, and I'm going to figure this out. I don't need to fear. I don't need to be afraid. I am not tied to what happened to my dad, you know?
Hmm.
And it sent me on a journey of researching, of studying. I started studying personal development. I started researching mental health. I started researching neuroscience. And it sent me on an incredible journey of just realizing that, one of the things that really impacted me is that I am not a victim of my biology, that it's
Yeah.
very possible, and it's science backed, that I can change the neurotransmitters in my mind. I can change being a pessimist to an optimist. Like, I have that power within me to do that. And it's
Yeah.
all about how I put food in my mouth to care for my body. The thoughts in my brain are going to care for not only my brain but also my body as well. And so
Yeah.
I just began to research that, and I learned about neuroplasticity. And so, but I'll get super excited talking about this stuff. So you'll have to stop me if you have any questions.
No, it's good. It's good.
But neuroplasticity, years ago, there was research that, once you were kind of single digits, 3 and 5, neuroplasticity in your brain, it started to slow down. And for those
Hmm.
of you that aren't familiar with neuroplasticity, it's just the idea, the element that your brain grows, that you can grow new neural pathways in your brain, you can learn new things, and your brain continues to grow. That previous research showed that it stopped when you were younger.
Hmm.
Totally not true.
Yeah.
Totally not true. It continues until you pass. And
Wow.
so it was
Thank God,
just
because I was an idiot in college, and so thank God we can continue to grow from that point.
right, totally. And so it's like it was exciting me so much. And then, of course, back in the day, like when my dad, when he was younger, he didn't have all this information,
Yeah.
that we have available to us now online on the internet. I have so many mentors in personal development that I've never met before, but they're on my Instagram. I'm on their
Yeah.
email chain. You know what I mean? Those types of things. And
Right.
so that sent me into connecting with a few personal development coaches. And I even signed up to get coaching, a guy named Brennan Burchard, who I would
Okay.
encourage you to look into, any of your listeners. He's a personal development and productivity coach.
Yep.
But him and Mel Robbins, she's a personal development coach as well, but just started to learn about how to care for myself and how I literally have the power and the control to renew and rewire my mind. And it was just like, now I was just astonished because I can't tell you, like, TJ, years ago, even 3 years ago, I didn't think that was possible.
Yeah.
I literally thought to myself, you know, my whole family struggles with anxiety. They struggle with depression. My dad was bipolar. My dad now had taken his life. I was stuck with that. I was stuck to deal with that. And I'm here to tell you, it is not true. Like, we have the power to renew our minds. We have the power to reinvent ourselves. And honestly, man,
Do you think that the reason we accept some of that stuff is because it's easier for us to play small and be a part of a group than it is to step out and
yeah.
grow?
Yeah, I think 100%. It's easier. It's easier just to accept what is and figure out where you're going to fit in and figure out how you're going to adapt to your frailties, rather than say, you know what, I'm going to face this limiting belief and I'm going to go and put some energy, some effort. I'm going to read books. I'm going to start to do some research. I'm going to start to grow myself and figure out how to get myself out of this hole. And it's literally what I had to do. You know, just started to look and research, and then I started doing these practices, and I started learning online. I started learning about a morning routine. So that's one of the things that I first started doing. And just the whole idea is that, especially with leadership, like, we have schedules that we're keeping up to. Most of our day is for other people. Because we're leading them, we're caring for them, we're serving them. So any emails we're getting, those emails aren't to edify us, they're to give to other people. Any texts we're getting, they're not to edify us, they're for other people. Which is all good, TJ, like, that's great and that's good stuff. But the emptiness and the vessel that wasn't being filled for me was, where in my schedule, where in my habits, my daily habits, am I edifying myself and filling myself up? And so one of the things I learned is that waking up early helps with that. And so Shelley and I started talking about it together, and I'm totally blessed that my wife is 100% with me in this whole journey. You know, we're doing this together, still doing this together. We've done this together. And so one of the things that we realized is that we would wake up every morning in like survival and fight mode, because our kids would wake us up because they'd get up too early. And so we'd be yelling at them to go back to sleep or go find their iPad and watch a show so that we could hit snooze. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I'm there.
And just shuffling to get out the door, shuffling to get their stuff, blah, 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 blah. And so from the moment that we wake up, we're in fighting. You know, we're like troubleshooting, we're giving. And that, you know, so then our whole day, that's the frame of mind we're starting with. Where now we actually get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Our kids don't wake up till 7. So we have 2 hours that we have time to do. I journal with my new rhythm journal, which we'll talk about later.
I got mine here.
I love that, man. I love it. But I journal, I read, either read through, I'm a Christian, so I read through some of the scriptures just to edify my mind, and I read personal development books. I'll listen to podcasts. I actually do some exercises at home now too. I've started learning and doing some meditation, which just helps gather my thoughts as we're talking about thoughts, and helps release kind of negative thoughts. And
one of my favorite places to do meditations, I don't know if you've heard him, Mike Foster. He does a podcast called Fun Therapy.
Exactly.
And he does some guided meditations there.
So I just downloaded his. Yep. And I'm doing those thoughts in the morning, which is awesome. But again, like TJ, probably a year ago, 2 years ago, I would have told you that everything I'm saying right now was just hogwash, you know, like, oh, that's just hooky pooky stuff. But it's literally, it's the habits that are going to get you the mental clarity, the mental focus, the productivity, the happiness, the contentness that you desire. That stuff doesn't just come. It doesn't come at an age. You don't reach this age and all of a sudden it comes. We're always searching for it, but our whole lives, as our life is a conveyor belt, we're just grabbing at things. And the moment that you can start to be intentional and learn and be coachable, it's all about the habits. And so honestly, the morning routine is how it started, and it just began to change our lives. It really helped with my thoughts, because as I would journal, I would identify some of the thoughts that I think. my whole life I've struggled with anxiety, and I take medication for that. I've taken medication for a number of years, but I also do the mental work, and I do the work outside of medication that helps me. The exercise helps stimulate my mind.
Yeah.
Meditation helps me gather my thoughts and take control of my thoughts. So before, 2, 3 years ago, I was, anxiety ridden, had panic attacks. I couldn't really stop my thoughts. I couldn't control my thoughts. And then as I started doing the habits and the work, a morning routine to edify myself, as I started to do meditation, as I started to exercise, I'm in control of my thoughts. I
Yeah.
can bounce thoughts easier, where before it was hard to do, but then once you capture your thoughts, you can bounce them easier. One of the greatest things that I started doing that I would recommend to anybody, it doesn't cost any money, it's totally free, is every single morning I would get up. The first thing I would do is I'd write 5 things that I was grateful for.
Yep.
And what this helped do is, TJ, I didn't have an awesome upbringing. I others had more, a worse upbringing than I have, but I didn't have an awesome one, and my thought life wasn't good. And
Yeah.
so I had a narrative in my head my entire life, even up to 35 years old, of just negative lifestyle. This happened to me. This happened to me. I never thought about what I was grateful for. All the
Mm.
negative, it was easy for me to go after negative. But if somebody asked me, what are you grateful for today? What are you excited about? I'd be like,
Like
give me like
grasping
10
straws.
minutes. Yeah. But like, give
Yep.
me 10 minutes. And so what happens is as you're thinking about what you're grateful for, especially in the morning, you are literally starting your morning from the outset of gratitude and gratefulness, which
Yeah.
enables you to start your day more excited about life. You're able you're able to just take whatever coming throughout the day. Things are always coming at us. We're not in some kind of bubble, but you
Right.
just have a different mentality because you're controlling your thoughts from the beginning of the day. And so as tough things are happening, you're in a different kind of mindset and perspective to be able to receive them. And I tell you, man, it has just made all the difference for me in my life.
I think like I'm thinking about your journey and then my own journey. One of the biggest decisions I made in this last year was being willing to admit to myself that I have anxiety,
Yeah.
right? Not that I am anxiety, but that I have anxiety. And
Yeah.
I at least admitting it, it was something that I had considered like a detriment, a crutch or something like that in the past, but it was something that I was able to go, no, this is something that is here.
Yeah.
Admitting it is cool. But as soon as I admitted it, it lost like at least 50% of the fear that it had had before, something that I felt like I either had to stifle it or work around it instead of work through it.
Yeah. 100%. And I think I'm so glad that you said that. And, there was a little bit in the early years of me accepting that, because I was just like, man, if I accept that, does that mean like I'm weak or I'm just like my family? But it's not true at all. And honestly, probably 98% of people in America have
Yeah.
anxiety, you know, and some of that is inside and just the neurotransmitters that we have repeated our entire life.
Yeah.
And then all of it too is just the society in which this Western culture we've placed ourselves in.
Yeah.
The hustle bustle, this is the expectation now of a 10-year-old. This is the expectation now of a 14-year-old. This is the expectation now. It's a lot of anxiety. And one of the people that I follow a lot is Dr. Caroline Leaf. And she had just posted the other day, like, hey, like take a deep breath and don't feel like you ever have to cure yourself of anxiety, like jump over this incredible huge, like you may not get rid of anxiety from your life because of stressors that are coming at us that we can't control, different things, but we can control how we respond to it. And we
Yeah.
can get control of how we're able to kind of release the anxiety and the stressors in our life. And so it's important, and it's important to realize it's okay. Like there's not a mark on you. You're not weak. Like, it's
Right.
just a legitimate thing. Anxiety. We're all in this together. And that's how I word it too. I'm very careful. Terminology and language is important. I always say I manage it. I manage anxiety. I manage
It
depression.
works
I
for you.
manage.
You don't work for it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I manage it and I know that. And then I'm learning and I'm putting habits in my life so that it doesn't control me, but I can control it,
Yeah.
which is super helpful. And
I'm,
journaling for me has been a huge thing in doing that.
I love one of the things I've found to be really helpful is Russ Harris does a lot of acceptance commitment therapy type of stuff. And it's observing the feeling, but not giving it the steering wheel and
Totally.
telling it it's got to be it's going to be a passenger in my car, but you got to be a passenger. You don't get to be in the driver's seat. And so I'm going to observe it, see what
Yeah.
it might be there to teach me something. But
Yep.
outside of that, you're going to be a passenger in the car. You're not going to be the driving seat.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's we're talking about inadequate thoughts. Like, I would have thought just a few years ago, without this information, I would have thought that it is what it is. And
Yeah.
I'm inadequate because I have anxiety. I'm inadequate because of my biology and my history. But it's not true. We can get, I'm a living, breathing organism that can say, there's hope for you. There are habits that you can begin to develop in your life that you can completely transform. Like, I was so optimistic, just by nature and my personality. I'm more skeptical and pessimist, kind of.
Yeah.
And now I'm way more optimistic, less skeptical, more, instead of holding life like really tight like this, trying to control things, I'm more open. And just identifying every single day, I'm identifying what thoughts are going through my mind that aren't serving me right now.
Yeah.
They could be true thoughts. They could well be true thoughts, but they're not serving me and helping me operate at my highest level right now. And the thing that I noticed, TJ, is that we're all actually doing it. Like, this isn't groundbreaking. The thing is, the default is usually negative.
Yeah.
So for example, I travel a lot for work, and one of my triggers is being alone. When I was younger, in my past, there was time where both of my parents were out of my life, and I didn't know where they lived. I didn't know where they were. And
Mm.
so just through that, I have anxiety of abandonment and different things like that. And so as I've
Sure.
realized that, triggers for me are traveling alone, because I feel like if I need to get to my family, if I need to get to my kids or my wife right away, I can't, because I have
Yeah.
to fly to them and I have to wait. So anyway, I'm again being vulnerable and giving you a lot of information. But
I'm grateful for your vulnerability. If I haven't said it before, this is an awesome peek behind a leader's mind, and I think it's something that's so crucial. Thank you.
I hope it's helpful. Yeah. But just as like a practical example, before trips, I would do personal visualization.
Yeah.
But what I would do is I would think about, oh gosh, I hope I get the right seat on the plane. I hope my plane's not delayed. If I get delayed, am I going to be able to get something good to eat? Like, where will I stay at a hotel if I get delayed? What if there's bad weather when we're on the flight? What if the person that I'm about to meet with, isn't fun to hang, isn't pleasant to hang? So I would do visualization, and I'm sure you've done this before too, but it's all negative.
Yeah.
None of it has happened yet,
Man,
but
you're calling me out on this.
I'm visualizing everything that's going to happen negatively. None
Yeah.
of that, TJ, is serving me to be my best, to be a leader.
Yeah.
Personally lead myself or lead who I'm going to be there. Because by the time I get to that meeting, I have stressed myself out so much and
Mm.
thinking about stuff that hasn't even happened, and then by the time I get there, I'm like, whew, nice to meet you. I hope you're a pleasant person. So we're already doing it. Just imagine you flip it. So what I do now, before
Mm.
I leave for a trip, I get out my journal and I write down, because something biologically happens when you get thoughts from your mind to your pen, because you're using all different senses. So when
Yeah.
you're journaling, like, it's science back that changes your life. It like changes things. So I literally do this. I'm not even kidding you. I write down I don't care how much time it takes. I write down all the positive things that I am excited about and that I want to accomplish on this trip.
Mm.
I recently just went to Charlotte and I had a day of 4 meetings. I flew in, stayed at a hotel, had 4 meetings, and then flew home that night. So before I leave, I'm like, I'm so excited to be on the plane because I'm going to have time to listen to a podcast and just relax. I'm not in charge of anyone. I don't have to think about traffic. I wrote down there, I'm so excited that I get to pick the rental car when I get there. Like I'm just making things up to be excited about because
Sure.
that's serving me better, you
Yeah.
know, and it was kind of rad. I was able to pick like the new Lincoln SUV. It was
Come on
pretty
now, that's
rad.
exciting.
So that was fun. And then like I was staying at a brand new hotel. I was like, hey, I can't wait to see the hotel. It's going to have an exercise gym there. I'll be able to do that. So I'm literally listing and writing out. I put each person I was meeting with by name. I can't wait to meet so-and-so. I want to add a lot of value to their life in this meeting somehow.
Yeah.
And so intentionally, I'm being intentional and deliberate, but thinking positively. So in my mind, I'm creating neural pathways of positivity for my entire trip. And so there's
Yeah.
no room for the negative.
Yeah.
And so that's literally a practice and a habit that I have adopted that has helped me be the best person that I can possibly be. And so by the time I'm at that meeting, dude, I'm so pumped up. I'm so full of joy. I'm so full of gratefulness that I'm adding so much value in those meetings and I'm 100% present.
Yeah.
Because it's like I was already there before I left. I was already in that meeting before I left, setting intention. And that's been something that has helped me rewire my thoughts completely.
So Jason, let's pretend that somebody else other than me right now is on the other end of this camera and they're saying, I hear where Jason says he was 2 years ago. I'm at that point where I'm starting a new year and I'm getting fed up with this. What would you tell this person first step out the gate, what they should do to begin to make a change in their life?
Yeah. I mean, the first one that I would say to do is to get up 15 minutes before you normally do. And then write down 5 things that you're grateful for. Take a journal. You could get one of those composite journals at the dollar store for $1.
Yeah.
It'll change your life. Just that practice will change your life. You know, now, like I'm telling you now, I do 2 hours in the morning, but I started with 10 minutes, you know, because I wanted to do that practice for probably 6 months to 8 months before I actually did it. You know? So I would say 10, 15 minutes, get up earlier, go out somewhere quiet, write down 5 things you're grateful for. The more you do that, the more you're going to realize you're grateful for. And that will just start your mind to be hungry for growth. You know, you start to have a growth mindset because you're going to get a win. And habits, like the way that you do habits is you have to have a reason. So like, you like, hey, I want to change my life. You know, I'm like this now. This is the way so there's your why. That's your reason. And so then you need to do little steps that aren't a huge thing. Notice I didn't say get up 2 hours earlier than you usually do.
Right.
You wouldn't accomplish that, you know?
Right.
So you do little steps. You see the reward, right? So as you get up 15 minutes early, you're going to realize that you're more prepped to receive your kids when they wake up. You're more prepped in your time management. Your mind is happier because you're thinking about what you're grateful for. So then you say, dude, I'm getting up 30 minutes. You know, next month I'm getting up 30 minutes before. You're going to write down 5 things you're grateful for. Then maybe you're going to exercise for 10 minutes, do jumping jacks, you know. So it's like you have the reason, you have the reward, and then you continue to keep going. And that's how you're able to do a habit. So I would say that just to get up 15 minutes early, write down 5 things you're grateful for. And then let that send you on a journey to grow. And I just, every day today, as you continue to do that, I'm always doing something to stimulate my mind and my body because that's going to keep me growing and that's just going to keep me alive, whether that's exercise, whether that's I mean, literally, and this is like next level stuff, but when you do new things, one of my goals this year is to do something new each month.
Yeah.
And so this month we went skiing for the first time and loved it. Like, awesome. Sent me on a journey. I don't know if I can afford to have that habit, but I loved it.
Right.
But when you do something new, you're creating a brand new neural pathway in your brain, which enables neuroplasticity to happen. So you're continuing to stimulate and grow your brain. That can be as easy as, so for 37 years, I have brushed my teeth with my right hand. If you get up in the morning tomorrow, brush your teeth with your left hand.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard. You're not going to be used to it. And you're going to be creating a new neural pathway in your brain that's continuing to grow. You're going to notice that that's helpful for you, and you're going to want to do something else. So it's all just learning. We have literally, there's no excuse to not have information that you want to have. Like you have Google and you have YouTube, and that's literally how I've learned everything and grown so much.
You've really challenged me in this. We've just been Facebook friends now for a couple months, but even just seeing you, I think it was in November or so, you had talked about how you used to think you couldn't run and stuff like that. And I was like, oh crap, that's been the lie I've been telling myself. Oh, I'm tall, my knees are going to hurt and stuff like that.
Right.
But you said, but now I'm doing these races and stuff. And I was like, you know what? Excuse the language, but I was like, damn it, I'm going to go do something like that. And so for the first time in my life, I said, you know what, 2020, I'm going to run a 5K. I'm going to run at least 3 of them this year.
Good
and now that I'm
man.
into it already, I'm saying to myself, I'm going, that's like this first one, I'm going, okay, I can do this now. Like 8 days in, I've done the Couch to 5K app, and it seems like, okay, this is doable. I'm going, man, I kind of sold myself short. I want to do more maybe later in the year or something like that. So
yeah, exactly. And that's how it happens, and that's another great example, but I was never a runner, never ran before in my life, literally never. And it was just something we want to do. And now running, like my brain says, thank you every time I run.
Yeah.
It's way more than physical for me. It's my brain saying, thank you. And what's cool too, TJ, is like, it took me probably, because I never ran before, it was just consistently, trying it and doing the Couch to 5K. It probably took me a good 2 months to run a 5K, to get up to that,
right.
3 months. And now, like, every time I go out to run, I try to run every other day. I at least run a 5K. Like I run a 5K now for fun. Like that's my least limit of running.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I never knew that. 2 years ago, I never ran. And now it's like, you can do anything you want to do. And it's all about being intentional. It's all about being deliberate and getting focused, so anything's possible.
So you've talked a lot about journaling. I don't want our time to get away without us spending some time talking about the New Rhythm Journal that you and Shelley put together. Why don't you talk to us about like how you came up with this, like where this started? I'm guessing it started with the 5 things that you're grateful for, but talk a little bit about this and share with us about this, because I love this thing. I just got mine on Christmas Eve and I've been enjoying writing in it.
Oh man, that makes me incredibly happy. It's so near and dear to, our hearts, of course. Like journaling really was kind of the preface of starting this for us, the writing down things we were grateful for and learning more. And so honestly, what we did is we bought like every journal from every person that we knew. Like Brendan Burchard has a journal, Rachel Hollis has a journal, Mel Robbins. So we bought all these journals and we liked different pieces of them. And I find myself carrying around like 5-6 different journals. And so I told Shelley, I was just like, you know what? I'm going to like sketch out the things that we love in each journal and the things that are really, as I was doing my research in neuroscience and different things like that, the entries, so promptings that are science backed, like if you do this, your brain will benefit in this way. If you do this, your brain benefits in this way. And so literally that's what I did. I started sketching it out and writing down everything. And then like we got a lot of questions from our online community about how are you guys journaling? What are you doing waking up in your morning routine and different things like that. And so then it was just kind of like a random idea. I was like, Shelley, like, what if we just print this? and like offer it to people, because we literally got asked for it a lot of times. And so I enjoy, like, I have a background in creative design and different things like that. So I spent some nights, long nights and early mornings, and designed it. And we self-published it. Cyber Monday is when it released. And so basically it's what we've done for the last 2 years. And we've put the pieces together that we loved about journaling and just the different science. So, it starts out with saying what you're grateful for. And then we've gotten a lot of great responses from this. This is a powerful writing I am statements. And so in research of mental health and productivity, it's called personal visualization, what we talked about. And saying I am, we're usually harder on ourselves than we should be or need to be. Yeah. But just like saying I am, like if I could turn this around, I'd show you, I have 3 Post-it notes on my wall in my office. And one says I'm confident. The next one says I'm capable. And the next one says I'm chosen. And those are like, they come up against the 3 fears, the 3 core fears that I have, that I just don't have what it takes, I'm just not confident enough. I say I'm confident. I'm capable, that I just don't know enough. I'm not going to ever be able to know enough to be able to be significant or to be able to get through this. I'm capable. And then just from my fears of abandonment, I'm chosen. Like literally I'm chosen. I have people that love me. I have a family that loves me. I have a God who loves me. So I say those things every single morning. And so there's a section in here where you can write down 5 times of what you are.
And I love that too. Just so you know, more positive feedback. I love that. Writing that down each day. So.
And it's whoever you need to be. Yesterday I had to do a presentation with some partners. And so literally I wrote down, I'm an incredible public speaker. I'm a confident, I'm a confident professional. So it changes each day, And then there's question promptings in here. What's one activity or task I can be enthusiastic about today? And again, that's keeping your mind focused on positive stuff.
Yeah.
Instead of like, oh my gosh, like it's so just, what potential situation could trigger or stress me out today? And that's good. That's dealing with things ahead of time so that you can be your best self in the moment. So for instance, yesterday I wrote down my flight could get delayed. And so I pre-visualized that happening. Like if my flight gets delayed, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn on this podcast. This will give me 40 minutes where I can just focus. It doesn't matter that I'm in where if I didn't do that and I just went about my day and I was so excited to get home and then got to the airport and my flight got delayed, I'd be panicked. I'd be mad. I'd be like, what the heck am I going to do now? So it's like whatever's happening, you can trigger traffic, those types of things. And then it says, what dream are you currently focused on right now? And then who can I compliment with a gift? Who can I surprise with a gift or a compliment today? And thinking about outward thinking, adding value to people. And then in the very beginning, you list down 10 dreams that you're focused on and takes you through a whole kind of process on how to identify those dreams.
Well, I love it. It's made a difference in my life. Just the I ams, absolutely. Like I find that I have more than 5 things to be grateful for, where as maybe just a few weeks ago, I couldn't have said that, right? Like you, give me 10, 15 minutes and I might be able to come up with one thing. But when I'm making it a practice, I start to notice more and be grateful for more in my days.
And what's good about that is it doesn't have to be big things. It's small things,
Yeah.
Like I wrote in there the other day that I just like a nice, dark, warm cup of coffee.
It's good. Yeah.
I'm grateful for a comfy blanket in the morning, when it's cold outside. And it could be different things. My daughter smiled at me a certain way. I write that down. It doesn't have to be huge things. It's just every single day thinking about something you're grateful for.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, here in a second, we're going to give them the opportunity to get something free from you and enter into a giveaway for the journal. But I have one more question for you before we go.
Cool.
It's the question we ask everybody, because Vitamin Lead, our tagline is it's a healthy dose of leadership. And so my question to you is, how do you define healthy leadership?
I think that's a good question. Healthy leadership. I think it's the habits of basically the habits that it takes to bring about the desired goals in your life and other people. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think we have a lot of as leaders, we like trainings, and there's a lot of trained leaders, but less actual doing the leadership. And so I think healthy leadership is learning the habits, identifying the habits that it takes for you to be healthy, and then for other people that you're leading to be healthy as well.
That's good.
Would be healthy leadership. Yeah.
I like it. Thank you, Jason. And thank you so much for your transparency and vulnerability today. I think that being willing to kind of go deeper into your heart and even your experiences, it's so appreciated, because I know that's a gift that people don't give away freely. So thank you for being willing to do that with us.
Yeah, thank you. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to do that, and would love to stay connected, of course, with you and just with anybody of your listeners. Would love to just anywhere I can help, just want to give anything I can away to help, just because I know the impact that this can have on your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you share with them how they can kind of take next steps with you and with Shelley, and have the chance to win a journal?
Yeah, absolutely. Love to stay connected. Shelley and I are on Instagram at Jason Yost, at Shelley Yost. We could put those in the show notes probably. But we'd love to offer any listeners here, I'd love to continue to engage with you if you want to learn more about healthy habits and creating new rhythms in your life. So we've created just a specific page for Vitamin Lead listeners. And so that's shelleyyost.net/vlead. So Shelley, SHELLEYYOST.net/VLEAD. And go to that page and just put your name and email in. We'd love to stay connected with you. And then at the week's end, we're going to do a raffle for 2, not 1, 2 free New Rhythm journals.
That is generous.
Yeah, which is exciting. So opt in there. It's totally free. We'd love to connect with you, send you some cool information. And then we're going to do a raffle at the end of the week for 2 free journals. And then we can also, if you're interested in getting a journal, maybe in the show notes, we can put the link to that on Amazon.
Absolutely.
And just grateful and so excited just for your listeners, just to have this conversation. I think it's a conversation that needs to be had more. Both privately and publicly. So thank you, man. Appreciate what you're doing here.
Thank you, Jason. Grateful for you. And I hope that you have a great rest of your 2020 doing new things.
Yeah, can't wait.
All right. You've been listening to Vitamin Lead, your healthy dose of leadership. Thanks for joining us today. We'll talk to you soon.